We're going to look at how we can take a publicly available data source from NHTSA, the NHTSA, and to turn that into actionable information in the Altair RapidMiner platform. Okay, so let's start by looking at the data we're going to bring in for analysis. So this is the NHTSA website. This is part of the US Department of Transportation. And NHTSA provide open data sources for things like vehicle ratings, recalls, investigations, and complaints. So we can take a look at the complaints web API, and we can see here that we can fetch a list of complaints if we specify the make, the model, and the model year. And we can take a look at one example of the kind of raw data that you might get from that here. So I specified I want to look at Teslas, Model 3s for the model year 2022. So any complaint relating to a model year 2022 Tesla Model 3 will be returned, and we can see there are 661 of them. So this is the raw data. This is composed of structured information, so dates and numbers and identifiers, as well as less structured information such as lists of components which are affected, or a textual complaint from a customer. So the challenge is to turn that into useful information for our analytics to give us some business insights. So within AI Cloud, I have a very simple 4-step process which first of all takes that web API data, processes it, performs some processing on each of the complaints, and then brings all of those records together in one bunch, and then finally stores the data for future analysis in its process form. So if I click on run, I'll be able to see each of these steps executes in turn, and we can inspect the data at any stage. So here for our web API call, we have a JSON text response, which is our raw data. If I click on cut document, then we can see each of these documents corresponds to an individual complaint. So there'll be 661 of those. And if I will go and have a look at one of these and inspect it, I can see the raw data, and I can see this comment here relates to a customer complaint, which is partially about technical issue with the car, but also there are some PATS elements here which relate to the customer's sentiment towards the car manufacturer. So I think in this kind of analysis, we'd like to look at both looking for early issues in terms of quality issues, but also we'd like to look at customer sentiment as well. And then we can bring all those data together in a combined form. So 661 customer complaints. We can inspect each of these here. We're saving them as a data set in this output. And we can also do some interactive analysis. And we can, for example, go and look at the distribution split by crash. And we're looking at that across the date of the incident. And we can see here a distribution of the complaints by date. And we can see split between those which are crashes and not crashes. We can filter out those which are not crashes. And we can see the distribution of those which are. So we've gone from pretty much a space of a few minutes from raw data through to information on which insights can be gleaned, and we're now in a position where we can take decisions around how we'd like to process our data further.